Hello and good morning. You tuned into Market Cafe. I'm Ankita Saxena. In the next half an hour, I'll take you through all the global cues that have been making news and all of that cues you need to watch out for before the start of D Street today. So without further ado, let's get started with how the Wall Street shaped up yesterday. Well, it was a winning day coming in for Wall Street. In fact, Dow Jones managed to scale those 53,000 levels for the first time and shut shop above that. Remember, Dow Jones has been on a winning streak, and yesterday also we saw 0.2% uptick coming in, crossing the 53,000 mark. Now, semiconductor stocks were leading the gains on the Wall Street. In fact, the tech stocks also made a comeback yesterday. We saw Nasdaq that finished up more than 1% amid a rebound in semiconductor names like chip plays like Western Digital and Advanced Micro Devices that rose 7% and 6% respectively. The S&P 500 also closed with gains of 0.7%. We had Dell that jumped more than 4% on Monday's session after President Trump encouraged consumers to buy its computers during the event in the White House. But Microsoft shares pulled back after the software giant announced 4,800 job cuts. So that's how largely the Wall Street shaped up yesterday, and the stocks that were doing well and the ones that were not doing well. But let's talk about the oil prices as well. Oil prices tried to inch up a little. We did see a bit of a tick up, a very marginal tick up come in, but the gains were limited because the traders are still looking beyond the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, and they have turned their attention towards the supply increase and the demand prospects going ahead. But as of now, we do still have a bit of an ease coming in as far as oil prices are concerned. Nothing to really worry about. Brent crude is sitting at $72.40 dollars per barrel, and WTI is also at $68.97 a barrel. So a bit of a recovery that we saw coming in on the oil prices as of now. A 0.5% uptick is what we see on the crude, but nothing really to worry about over here. But let's shift focus now to the Asian handover and how that looks like. Well, we have Nikkei that's down 0.6%. We have Shanghai that's down 0.4%. Hang Seng, though, is absolutely flat with an uptick of just 90 odd points. And S&P ASX 200 is also trading absolutely flat. The implied start to Nifty, though, indicates a good start. 80 points uptick is what we are penciling in. But let's see how the rest of the day pans out. Now, remember, as far as Indian markets are concerned, we do see yesterday we had a really good day coming in. We closed in on the day's high. 24,400 levels is what we managed to scale on Nifty as well. And in the last 5 days, in fact, the Nifty has jumped up more than 533 points in the last 5 days. So it has been good session or good 5 days for the Indian markets. And here's waiting and watching out to how today really pans out. Though we are expecting a positive start, it's a wait and watch in that as to how the rest of the day pans out today. But also, let's talk about the geopolitics. US President Donald Trump has once again struck a hardline tone on Iran, reviving concerns over renewed geopolitical tensions in the West Asia. Trump said that the United States would either reach a deal with Iran or finish the job, while stressing that his preference remains a diplomatic resolution. Trump also claimed that Iran is under severe financial pressure, adding that Washington has not provided the country with any financial relief. Let's listen in.
Look, we're going to win one way or the other. We're either going to make a deal or we're going to finish the job, okay? And it won't be tough to finish the job. I'd rather make a deal because I don't want to affect 91 million people. We can knock down their bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy supply, all of those big plants that they built, big, beautiful, modern plants. They had a lot of money. They don't have any money now. We haven't given them any money. But we can knock out their electricity and power generating plants in, I would say, a small part of an afternoon. Every plant will be gone. And they know that. They know that.
Moving on then, Trump also said he expects to host Chinese President Xi Jinping in the United States around 24th of September alongside the UN General Assembly. Trump suggested the visit while discussing plans for a new White House ballroom. If confirmed, the meeting would come after the Leaders Summit in Beijing earlier this year, amid the ongoing trade and geopolitical tensions. And Microsoft lays off around 6,400 jobs as a part of the restructuring. About half of the layoffs will impact its Xbox gaming division, with the company also divesting 5 game studios. Microsoft says the move is aimed at positioning Xbox for long-term success, adding that the eliminated roles are not being replaced by AI and that more organizational changes are likely ahead. And Samsung Electronics has reported a record preliminary second quarter operating profit of 89.4 trillion won, nearly doubling sequentially and far exceeding last year's levels. Revenues also rose sharply to 171 trillion won. However, the stock fell nearly 5% after the results, with investors focusing on one-off gains and labor-related costs. And FIFA has rejected Belgium's challenge over Florian Balogun's eligibility after suspending his one-match World Cup ban. The decision came after Trump welcomed the review, calling it brilliant. FIFA insists its judicial process was independent, but the move has sparked criticism from UEFA and several football associations. And MSCI has proposed easing its eligibility norms for index infusion by shortening the monitoring period for stocks placed under the Additional Surveillance Measure, or ASM. If approved, the change could allow more Indian stocks to qualify for MSCI standard index, potentially boosting passive foreign flows from the global index funds. And Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has stated that the legal scrubbing of India-EU FTA documents will be done in the next 15 to 20 days. Minister is also expected to travel to Europe next week. Let's listen in.
You're today a $4.5 billion exporting industry, but I do believe with these various FTAs that we have finalized, which cover developed nations, which are opening the doors to developed nations, 38 developed countries. The UK FTA will come into force on 15 July itself. I had a very good conversation with my counterpart in the EU at Brussels, and we are working together to complete the legal scrub in the next 15-20 days. I'm meeting him on 14th and 15th of July in Brussels, along with a delegation of business persons. We are going to Brussels, Spain, Brussels, and Finland, because we've already started marketing Indian products, goods, and services. We have already started taking our business delegations so that we are future ready. We are ready to get the best out of the FTAs that we have finalized, the new markets in developed nations that have been opened up for your sector.
All right, the Uttar Pradesh government has now unveiled the Startup Policy 2026 aimed at building a globally competitive startup ecosystem through higher funding, stronger incubation support and incentives for deep tech innovation. The policy doubles the sustenance allowance to 20,000 rupees per month for the next 2 years, raising prototype grants to 10 lakh rupees and seed funding to 15 lakh rupees, with support extendable up to 50 lakh in special cases. Deep tech startups will be eligible for patient capital of up to 100 crore and up to 40% R&D support. The policy also proposes 20 new centers of excellence and higher grants for incubators, including those in Purvanchal and Bundelkhand. And Prime Minister Modi is also on a 3-nation tour covering Indonesia, Australia and New Zealand, with a strong focus on strengthening India's Indo-Pacific strategy. Defense cooperation, critical minerals, trade, digital partnerships and strategic ties are expected to dominate the discussions. Sumita is now joining us to tell us on what to watch out for.
That's right. The Prime Minister reached Jakarta yesterday. He was received by none other than the President of Indonesia, along with the Minister of Palace, the Cabinet Secretary, along with them, the Foreign Affairs Minister of the country. So, of course, today a ceremonial welcome awaits him. Along with that, he's going to be having a meeting with the President of Indonesia. And, of course, there's going to be a speech in the Indonesian Parliament. And, of course, he's going to be interacting with members of the Indian diaspora in Indonesia as well. Now, this visit is significant from many aspects, given the fact that this is part of the 3-nation visit that the Prime Minister is undertaking, first to Indonesia, then to Australia, and then, of course, to New Zealand. India and Indonesia, well, this is our second largest trading partner as far as ASEAN partners are concerned. However, trade remains still modest. So, of course, deliberations perhaps on how the trade could be expanded, they could take place. Other than that, critical minerals is an important leg, is likely to be an important leg because of the fact that Indonesia produces, one of the biggest is one of the biggest producers as far as nickel is concerned. So, of course, on how both the sides can collaborate as far as processing is concerned, that could be discussed and deliberated. Remember, it produces nickel. Nickel is used in EVs, in automotive components, and several other sectors. Then, of course, there is the aspect of pharma, there's the aspect of education, mobility, and of course, there are other aspects as well as far as this visit is concerned, digital cooperation, maritime focus, and economic ties. Of course, BrahMos missile, according to reports, has been a matter of discussion in the Indonesian parliament. So that could also come up as far as talks are concerned, and some progress could be announced. Overall, if you look at Indonesia, there are opportunities to collaborate in pharma, in health, in food processing, and fertilizers and strategic reserves, because over 130 Indian companies, they are invested in different sectors in the country. So, of course, the outcome of this meeting and this leg of the visit is going to be crucial.
And ahead of the Prime Minister Modi's Australia visit, the Australian High Commissioner to India, Philip Green, says the leaders are expected to closely review opportunities in energy trade and discuss the safeguards agreements related to uranium supply, with Australia viewing India as a trusted and reliable long-term partner. Let's listen in.
This visit happens at a particular time in global economic developments when both Australia and India have been affected by the Gulf crisis and the absence of movement through the Strait of Hormuz, which hopefully we're coming through now. But that has thrown attention for us on our energy partnership.
Right.
Australia benefits from energy exports from India. India benefits from coal and liquid natural gas from Australia. And I think that's an area where the leaders will look, given the crucial situation that we find ourselves in. We've had a safeguards agreement on nuclear supplies for 12 years. And I think the leaders will have some discussion over that. But beyond that, we think that the bilateral energy security conversations are very important at this point, where all of us are focused on supply chains. And let me put it this way. Australia sees in India a reliable partner,
Yes.
strategically and for trade. And so if we can strengthen the way in which we do business on energy, that's going to be good for both of us.
All right, the southwest monsoon continues to strengthen, with the reservoir shortage rising nearly 17% of the total capacity. The IMD has forecasted extremely heavy rainfall across parts of Konkan, Gujarat, coastal Karnataka and central Maharashtra, while the all-India rainfall deficit has now narrowed to just 20% as of July 6th. And on that note, let's take a short break, come back and get you all the cues you need to watch out for before the start of these. Welcome back. You tune into Market Cafe. Well, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has issued show cause notices to several food companies over alleged misleading products, labels and marketing claims, including terms such as fresh, 100% organic and all natural and boosts immunity. Companies have been asked to respond within 7 days, while Heritage Foods, in its response to the regulator, has defended its use of the term fresh paneer, saying it accurately describes the product, is a widely accepted industry practice and is not intended to mislead the consumers. The company has also sought withdrawal of the show cause notice. Kuldeep reported this earlier. Let's get more details on this.
Well, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has issued notices to multiple food business operators over misleading claims. The FSSAI has issued notice to Heritage Foods Limited over Heritage Fresh Paneer. As per the notice, that the company has been using the term fresh in branding its paneer, which according to the FSSAI is in violation of the Food Safety Act of 2006. Similarly, the notice has also been issued to Dia Foods over the La Casa Vegan Hazelnut Chocolate Spread. In the packaging of this product, the company has been using the terms like 100% organic and all natural, which as per the FSSAI, these terms are being used by the company without obtaining the required certificates for that. FSSAI has also issued notice to SIPZERV over its juice capsules. On the juice capsules, the SIPZERV has been claiming that these are FSSAI approved and boost immunity and remove toxins from your body. However, FSSAI has observed that there is no scientific study has been done to substantiate these claims, and thus the FSSAI has issued notice to all these food business operators and sought explanation within 7 days that why any action should not be taken against them.
And the government has announced an offer for sale in Cochin Shipyard, aiming to divest a base stake of 2.5% of the company's paid-up equity. An additional 2.5% stake will be available through a green shoe option if the issue sees oversubscription, taking the total offer size to 5.04%. Prakash joins us with more details on this.
Well, in its efforts to mobilize funds through the sale of minority stakes in CPSEs, the government of India has now decided to launch an OFS in Cochin Shipyard Limited with a base offer of 2.52% of its paid-up equity. In fact, an additional 2.52% will be diluted at the green shoe option in case of oversubscription. That's an important development coming in. In fact, the DIPAM secretary has informed that the floor price had been fixed at rupees 1,400 per share. The OFS will open for non-retail investors today, whereas retail investors will get an opportunity to bid on July 8. You are aware of the fact that the government has not been able to complete big disinvestment transactions like IDBI, and therefore a strategy has been adopted to dilute minority stakes in CPSEs to mobilize funds. And therefore the government is moving ahead with this strategy. In fact, over the last few months, government has launched several OFS to dilute its stakes in CPSEs such as NHPC Limited, Coal India Limited, NLC Limited, General Insurance Corporation Limited. Now it has been decided to launch an OFS in Cochin Shipyard Limited to mobilize funds.
All right, let's move on and talk about all the stocks that will be in news on the back of news flow. And for that, Darshita is now joining us with the stocks in focus. Over to you, Darshita.
Right, good morning. Let's start with the stocks which could make the headline today, and starting off first with Varun Beverages, where the stock could be in focus after the company's Kenyan subsidiary has announced the acquisition of DFIL Kenyan Beverage from Devyani Food Industry for around 305 crores. Now, the deal includes a 52-acre manufacturing facility located on the national highway in Kenya and is expected to strengthen the Varun Beverages production footprint. Moving on, Blue Jet Healthcare could also see action as the company has launched a 600 crore QIP. Now, the issue opens today at a floor price which is fixed at 531 rupee per share, which implies a 5.3% discount to the current market price. Meanwhile, Mankind Pharma could also remain on investors' radar after receiving a US FDA approval for the generic version of Rivaroxaban tablets. Now, this is a widely used blood thinner, and the approval paves the way for the company to commercialize the product in the US subject to the applicable patent conditions. Meanwhile, oil marketing companies like HPCL, BPCL and IOCL could remain in focus after Saudi Arabia has sharply cut the August crude prices for Asia. Lower crude sourcing cost typically translates into better marketing margins for these companies. Now, in the infrastructure space, RITES could attract some attention after securing an order worth 342 crore for the supply and commissioning of 4,000 HP diesel electric locomotives in South Africa. On the other hand, Standard Engineering Technology plans to invest 70 crore to acquire a 19.2% stake in Japan-based GL Hako. Now, the investment will help expand manufacturing facility and support the company's ambition to become India's largest glass-lined equipment manufacturing. Remington could also be on the radar after the earnings of Frontier Distribution designation under Microsoft's AI Cloud Partner Program, a move that could strengthen its capabilities in cloud and AI solution. Moving on, Dilip Buildcon could also see some traction after receiving the provisional completion certificate of Package 7 on the Bangalore-Vijayawada Expressway, a project which is valued at 780 crore rupee. Also, watch out for JB Chemicals and Torrent Pharma after the Ahmedabad bench of the NCLT approved the merger of JB Chemicals and with Torrent Pharma. And finally, talking about Zen Technologies, which could be in focus after expanding its manufacturing capacity to 3 lakh units annually, making it India's largest fully integrated drone manufacturer.
All right, so all those stocks you need to watch out for in today's trading session. But Titan is also going to be in focus as they have reported a strong operational update for the June quarter, led by a 46% jump in jewelry sales on robust festive demand and higher ticket sizes. Watches and eye care also outperformed, while the international business surged 128%, aided by the Damas acquisition. Ashesha is now joining us with more details on the business updates. Over to you, Ashesha.
Well, yes, Titan has reported very strong operational data for the first quarter of FY27, and across all parameters, it's a big beat versus street expectations. Now, as far as the consumer business is concerned, growth over here for the first quarter came in at 41%. Domestic business grew at about 37% on a year-on-year basis, largely in line with what the street was working with. Now, as far as the jewelry business is concerned, over here, it's a big beat versus street expectations. Jewelry business reported a growth of about 46% on a year-on-year basis versus street expectations of about 28 to 30%. Now remember, higher festive demand, Akshaya Tritiya in the quarter gone by, these are all the factors that aided jewelry segment business for the company in the first quarter of FY27. Watches reported an overall growth of 23% YOY versus street expectations of just about 12%. Eye care also reported a growth of a solid 23% on a year-on-year basis versus street expectations of just about 9 to 10%. So as I mentioned, across the board, across all segments, it's a big beat when it comes to Titan's updates. Now, we also have several brokerage houses which have written their notes. Bernstein has maintained its outperform stance on the stock with a target price of 5,000 rupees per share. They say jewelry revenue growth was very strong in the first quarter of FY27. Growth indicates lesser than expected impact of customs duty hike from 9% to 15%. So brokerage houses too have given a thumbs up, and across all parameters, it's a beat versus street expectations.
All right, Shesha, thank you so much for joining us. With that, Titan in focus on strong quarterly updates. But with that, it's time to shut shop in this edition of Market Cafe. I'll take a leave. Thank you so much for tuning in.